The first new rule appeared on a Monday morning. No vote, no meeting reminder, just an email titled Updated Community Enforcement Standards. Most people skimmed it. We almost did too. It looked official, structured, confident, attached as a clarification document, but something felt off.
These
The language
amendments are
was different
critical
from
for
the
our
original
compliance. What are
bylaws,
the
more
liability
rigid, more
implications?
specific, more
Let's go
convenient.
through it.
Outdoor decorations limited to HOA-approved color palettes. Driveway usage restricted to passenger vehicles only. Garage doors must remain closed except during active entry or exit. None of those were in the rule book we signed, but the email ended with as previously authorized under board discretion. Board discretion. That phrase would become her shield. 2 weeks later, enforcement began. Warnings first, then fines, then escalation notices. Each signed Karen, HOA president. At the monthly meeting, a resident raised his hand. I don't remember voting on these updates. Karen smiled politely. These are not new rules, she said. They are clarified interpretations of existing ones. Clarified. That word carried weight, because technically, interpretations can shift, but rules require process. And here's what Karen didn't anticipate. One of the homeowners was a paralegal, another worked in municipal policy, and I archive everything. So we pulled the original bylaws, printed copies, digital timestamps, version history from the community portal. And when we compared them side by side, we saw it. She hadn't clarified anything. She had expanded enforcement authority quietly, strategically, without a vote. And once we noticed, we couldn't unsee it. The pattern didn't stop, it accelerated. New interpretation memos were released monthly, parking refinements, landscaping clarifications, holiday decoration timelines shortened, each one framed as administrative guidance, no recorded votes, no quorum confirmation, no amendment filings, just authority, stated confidently enough that most people accepted it. Because here's the truth about communities. People assume structure equals legitimacy, but we started tracking enforcement logs, which houses received warnings, which didn't, which violations escalated, which quietly disappeared. And something became clear: selective application. The same driveway stain that earned one family a $150 fine, ignored entirely at another house, the same improper fence height, enforced only on residents who had questioned her before. At the next meeting, my neighbor asked, "Where are the minutes approving these changes?" Karen replied calmly, "The board has interpretive authority." That's when the paralegal spoke up. Interpretation cannot expand scope without formal amendment under Section 3.2. The room shifted, because until that moment, no one had challenged her language precisely. Karen's tone hardened slightly. These measures protect property value, but protection isn't expansion, and discretion isn't invention. We submitted a written request, all documentation supporting new enforcement interpretations, recorded quorum confirmation, notice distribution logs. She delayed, then redirected, then cited administrative burden. That's when we knew. If the rules were solid, the records would be simple. Instead, silence grew. And when silence follows a paperwork request, it usually means something isn't there. We filed a formal procedural challenge. Not emotional, not confrontational, structured, section citations included, requested remedy, immediate suspension of expanded interpretations pending review. That's when Karen made her mistake. She doubled down, issued 3 new fines the same week, all under the clarified standards, including one to us. Improper mailbox aesthetic compliance. That wasn't even in the original bylaws, which meant she wasn't just stretching language, she was building parallel governance. So we escalated independent legal consultation, bylaw audit request, full enforcement log demand. When the attorney reviewed the documentation, he said one sentence that changed everything. Interpretation cannot create new obligation. Translation: she had crossed from interpretation into rule creation, without authority. At the emergency meeting, the room was standing room only. The attorney addressed the board directly. "Where is the recorded vote adopting expanded enforcement definitions?" Karen responded, "They were administrative clarifications." The attorney replied, "Clarifications do not generate new penalties." Silence. Measured. Board members looked at one another because for the first time, this wasn't a neighborhood disagreement. It was procedural exposure. And once procedure lapses, authority follows. The independent review confirmed it. No amendment filings, no quorum documentation, no majority vote records. Expanded interpretations had never been formally adopted. All fines issued under those interpretations were voided, refunds processed, escalations withdrawn, and the board faced a decision: retain leadership that blurred lines or restore procedural boundaries. The vote wasn't loud, it wasn't angry, it was decisive. Karen was removed as president immediately. As she gathered her binder, it looked different, thinner, less authoritative, because power without documentation is temporary, and leadership without process is fragile. The bylaws were revised, clear amendment requirements restated, mandatory community notification protocols strengthened, interpretive authority limited with written guardrails. The neighborhood didn't become conflict-free overnight, but it became predictable again, balanced, fair. Karen created her own rules. What she didn't realize was that governance isn't about confidence, it's about consent. And once residents start reading, improvised authority doesn't survive long. If you've ever discovered leadership quietly expanding power beyond what was approved, share your experience, because silence protects overreach. Documentation dismantles it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.